All right, let's get right into this explainer. Today, we're looking at a true story that is, well, it's just going to completely shatter what you think you know about resilience, dedication, and the sheer unbreakable depth of the human-animal connection. It's a narrative about a connection so powerful, it literally defied logic, the elements, and even time itself. I want you to step into this story with me, because what we're about to explore isn't just your standard timeline of events. No, it's a profound testament to unconditional love, and really, it's all about the bond behind 7 years.
So, picture this scene. Every single evening, an old, quiet German shepherd would walk down to a local train station. He didn't bark, he never begged the commuters for food or attention. He would just jump up onto this specific weathered wooden bench at exactly 5:30 p.m. And this wasn't just a quirky one-time thing or a lost dog wandering around aimlessly. Some people laughed, some pitied him, and some just assumed he was waiting for a ghost. But this dog sat there, eyes glued to every arriving train every single evening for 7 long years.
The mystery kind of started unraveling one rainy afternoon. A young station security officer noticed this old dog shivering beside the tracks, and he goes over to check on him. He gently examines the dog's worn leather collar, and he finds this rusty military tag hanging from it. And on the back of that tag, etched right into the metal, were just 6 words: "Wait for me, I'll come home."
Which of course brings us to the central mystery we're unspooling today. Who in the world was this dog waiting for? Nobody at that station had any idea who carved those words. No one knew if the owner was even still alive. To really understand this, we've got to rewind a bit. We have to realize that this wasn't just some cute animal habit. This was a profound, life-altering connection forged under some of the most extreme life-or-death stakes you can possibly imagine.
Part 1. A bond forged in war. Before he was the dog on the bench, Ranger was actually a military working dog, and his handler was Staff Sergeant Jack Thompson. Let's track their journey for a second. During their time overseas in an active combat zone, Ranger's job was detecting hidden explosives and tracking missing soldiers. In one absolutely terrifying instance in an abandoned village, Ranger completely froze. He alerted Jack mere seconds before engineers uncovered a massive explosive buried right beneath the road. I mean, Ranger literally saved the entire convoy that day. After that, they finally got to return stateside, swapping a combat zone for a peaceful, creaky little wooden cabin out near Eagle Ridge Forest in Colorado. You know, whenever someone would pet Ranger and call him just a dog, Jack would always smile and say, "He isn't my dog, he's the reason I'm still alive." That's absolutely crucial to remember here. Jack's life was literally owed to Ranger. Their civilian life in Colorado was simple, right? Fresh coffee, quiet walks in the woods, and one really special tradition. Every evening at 5:30 p.m., they would walk down to the local train station. Not to catch a train, but just to sit on an old wooden bench and happily watch families reunite on the platform.
Part 2. The day the mountain fell. This is where a peaceful life in Eagle Ridge Forest suddenly turns into a total nightmare.
They were out for an afternoon hike when a heavy storm quickly rolled in. The wind is howling, thunder is echoing, the mud is getting thick. Suddenly, Ranger just stops dead in his tracks and starts growling at the mountain above them. Then, a deafening crack echoes across the valley. High above, massive boulders and trees broke loose. The mountainside was literally collapsing. Jack grabs Ranger's collar and just screams, "Run!" But it was too late. A roaring tidal wave of rocks and mud exploded beneath them. This massive wall of rock crashed right between the two friends, violently throwing Jack down the mountainside. He struck his head on a fallen tree, and everything went black.
What happened next was a desperate race against time. Rescue helicopters are filling the sky, search dogs are scouring the trails. And amidst all this relentless, freezing rain, Ranger absolutely refused to leave. He actually found and guarded Jack's backpack in the mud. But then on the 4th day, the search teams had to call it. The sheriff delivered the crushing news: Jack was officially declared missing, presumed dead.
Part 3. 7 years of loyalty. Now the thing is, dogs don't understand impossible odds. They don't understand death certificates. They only understand love. So Ranger managed to slip away from the rescue teams, and he returned to the only place that made any sense to him, the train station.
7. I want us to just pause and dwell on this massive number for a second. 7 years. Days bled into weeks. Months turned into years. He waded through freezing Colorado snowstorms, through torrential rains, through the blistering summer heat. As the years went on, he grew older, right? The black fur around his face turned completely silver.
His body started to give out. But every single evening, his heart still believed, driven entirely by the bond behind 7 years. Naturally, the town was incredibly moved by this display of devotion, and they rallied around him in a huge way. I mean, the local cafe owner brought him fresh water daily. The bakery saved him warm chicken. School kids would visit him right after class to give him hugs, and the town even pitched in to build him this beautiful, custom, heated wooden shelter right next to the station. But here is the most amazing part. No matter how cozy that shelter was, the second the clock struck 5:30 p.m., Ranger left it. He walked right back out to that freezing wooden bench to watch the trains, because to him, a warm bed could never, ever replace hope.
Eventually, Ranger's quiet vigil caught the eye of Emily Carter, a young documentary filmmaker. At first, she thought it might just be some exaggerated internet legend. But after spending one single evening watching Ranger's hopeful eyes scan a crowd and then completely fill with disappointment, she was moved to tears. So she uploads this simple, no-frills short film titled The Dog Who Never Gave Up. And it just exploded. We're talking 30 million views in a week. Ranger was suddenly dubbed America's most loyal dog, and letters started pouring in from all over the country.
Part 4. Hope finally comes home. This is where the story takes a turn you almost wouldn't believe. One cold November morning, literally 7 years into Ranger's wait, Emily gets an unbelievable email from a rehabilitation hospital in a completely different state. The message was just one sentence. "I think the man you're looking for has been living here." Attached to that email was a photo. Emily pulls it up, puts it right next to the old military photo of Jack, and compares them. The same eyes, the same smile, the exact same scar above the eyebrow. Jack had survived the landslide. He'd been found unconscious by some hikers miles away, suffering from a traumatic brain injury that completely erased his memory and identity for 7 entirely blank years. Emily literally drops everything and drives 8 hours straight to that hospital. When she finds Jack sitting in the garden, he didn't even know his own name. But then she pulls out the photograph of Ranger, and Jack's hands just start shaking. It was like a dam broke. The forgotten memories, the mountains, the horrific storm, the desperate barking, it all came flooding back. He broke down sobbing, and he just kept repeating, "I never stopped loving him, I just couldn't remember." Okay, just 2 days later, Jack finally returns to Colorado. The entire town gathered quietly on the platform, and at exactly 5:30 p.m., the train doors slide open. Ranger stands up from his bench, scanning the faces just like he had done thousands of times before. But this time, he freezes. He caught the scent. And this frail old dog, who people thought could barely even walk anymore, absolutely astonished everyone. He exploded into a full-speed sprint across the platform, leaping right into Jack's arms, covering his face in kisses while Jack sobbed into his fur. It was this moment of pure, unadulterated joy. It was caught on video and, no joke, watched by over 100 million people worldwide. Part 5. The Final Goodbye. After everything, Jack and Ranger were finally back where they belonged, together in their quiet cabin. And for the first time in 7 years, Ranger could actually sleep peacefully. But, time is a relentless force. Ranger was 14 years old now. His body was failing. His eyesight was fading. So when the veterinarian gently let Jack know that Ranger's time was drawing to a close, Jack made absolutely sure every remaining second counted. On a quiet autumn evening, sitting on their porch with the golden leaves falling around them, Jack wrapped his arms around his best friend and whispered, "You kept your promise, now it's time for you to rest." Ranger looked up into Jack's eyes, gave one final wag of his tail, and peacefully crossed the Rainbow Bridge, safe in the arms of the man he'd spent 7 years waiting for. A week later, the whole town gathered for a memorial. The mayor unveiled a beautiful bronze statue of Ranger, placed right beside that old train station bench. And on the plaque, they inscribed these enduring words. For 7 years, he reminded us that true loyalty never fades. Love waits, hope survives, and home is wherever the heart remains. It stands there today as a permanent tribute to a bond that simply defied the passage of time. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a question to reflect on. Look at everything Ranger endured and the sheer unyielding nature of the bond behind 7 years. What does true loyalty actually mean to you? It's a really profound thought to take with you today. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey, and I'll catch you in the next one.